Alright guys and girls, what is up? This is probably going to be the last video for this quick FL Studio tutorial 20 for y'all who want to know how to make music. Alright, in the last video we talked about both the piano roll as well as a playlist, how to, create melodies and then make a song out of what we are working with. So the mixer is going to be the place where I have my sounds that I want to organize, also the spot where my microphone is. To work the mixer, first you'll have to put the sounds into the mixer. As you see, I have 6, 7, and 8, which I'll drag over to number 2, 3, and 4, like that. By the way, to move a insert, have it highlighted, or double click and drag to highlight multiple. And then I'm holding the left Alt button on my keyboard and then pressing left and right. Oh, the right Alt button works as well. So Alt and then move the keys. To send a track to a mixer, you could drag this little spot here to a new insert or any insert where you want it to be in. So you can have multiple inserts, or you can have multiple tracks inside of a single insert here. But I'm not doing that. So you could drag this here like that. You could click the sound, click this gear if it's not showing this bar here. So once again, that gear, and then you can press the button track, which assigns the free mixer track. So as I click and you see it went to number 1. I don't like it in number 1, so there. The only reason is because the preview sounds were number 1, like the metronome and things like that. I don't like it in 1. You can put in 1 if you want, it's up to you. But yeah. And then the other way is to highlight it here with the green. Go into the mixer where you want to, put the insert in with the green. And then Control and L. So that drops the single insert in there. How about, for example, if we were to automate the keys here? Remember the automation clips with the points and the arrows and things like that? I feel like I should have shown this in the playlist one, but I didn't. But if you've been watching the series, then you'll know. You cannot put automation tracks into a mixer because that is not basically a sound. It's not a sound. It's a vent. It's like MIDI moving, it's not sound. It's not producing sound. So now that we have our 5 sounds tracked into the mixer, and if I hit play, you'll be able to hear and see that the sounds are in its separate spots here. Next thing we'll look at is the effects that we can apply to any of the inserts here. Because the keys has melodies, let's just play around with effects for that. First of all, over here you'll see on the right side it says slot 1 through slot 10. These are your slots to put in effects. If you click the arrow, and again, I have a lot of things here, you may not have as much, but you'll have things like the delay, dynamics, the filter, the flanger, and so forth. This is where you'll put in effects. So let's say we want to put in a chorus, fruity chorus, cool. And then you could go to a preset and select one if you want poly chorus. You can see the effect is on. You can press the green to turn off that effect. So if I were to do this and just have this play throughout. Effect on. Cool. This knob right here is going to affect the level of the mix of the effect. So let's say you want only 50% of the mix. Basically 50% of the effect is going to work. Basically you're going to hear half of it be the effect, the other half is going to be without the effect. Might not sound as interesting, but yeah. That knob is pretty effective depending on how you put in effects and stuff. So let's say for example I put in a reverb right here, reverb 2. And I create it the way I want it to sound. just like that. You can use this to mix the effect in. So like you like the reverb, but you don't want it too much present. So that's one way to, you know, use that knob there to mix the effect in if you don't want it that loud. I'll go ahead and delete that. This is the spot to add in insert effects. So, you know, things like EQ, maybe a delay effect or reverb, anything like that. If you don't see all the functions that I have here, like for example, you see right there on the bottom, just take the mixer window and open it up like this. And if you don't see the mixer looking like this, you could go here where it says wide 2, or for you it'll probably say wide, or I don't know, compact or something like that. I use wide 2. I like it at wide 2. So yeah, there's also like extra large where it changes up everything, but I like it like wide 2. It's pretty good to me. This knob is going to, or this green button is going to be the mute or solo. So that'll mute the sound. If you want it to solo, you can right click. And then right click again to turn it off. So everything's playing. This is going to be the pan. So you could go to the left or the right. The obvious. Middle click will reset it to its default value. So there, for that. Even with this, yeah. Now these volume faders are going to be the balancing part of mixing in the mixer. So this is where we could lower things down if you don't want it too intense or whatever. Down below we have this button to swap left and right. So how could I explain this one? There you go. See, I have it all the way to the right. Having this enabled will switch the left and the right channels together. The left side and the right side will be switched. So it's panned to the right, and now it's showing on the left. This button is going to reverse the polarity, which is pretty hard to visualize. Maybe if I do this, Alt and W. Yeah, it's not going to be easy for you to see unless you see like a stereo image. Let me turn that off. Down here we have a stereo separation. So enabling this or moving it to the left is going to widen out the sound. Sounds more open here. Putting it to the right side will make the soundtrack mono. It'll close both of those left and rights and put it together as one. So you can hear here, obviously, you could not hear the left and right. It doesn't sound like a wide sound. And now it's open. And now it's super open. If you're using something like a phone that has one speaker, you probably wouldn't hear that effect or what I'm trying to, you know, show you as effectively. So if you have headphones on, you know, you'll be able to hear that difference. But this is good to open up a sound. It could be any stereo files, like a instrumental or something like that. It widens the stereo sound more apart. Needless to say, if you have something like a kick, which is a mono sound, you can see these two levels are the same. Doing this, not gonna help. Another way to tell if a track is mono is if you click here and you see this little icon. You see how there's only one square up there? That means it's a mono take. It's a mono track. I just recorded this sound here from the keys, so let me turn that off. But notice how there's 2 dots here. That means it's stereo. It's left and right there. Mono is just straight up in the middle, which is playing both left and right as well, but at an equal amount. Underneath this stereo knob separation, we have this bulb icon. It's a light bulb icon for those who don't see that at first. There you go. This is gonna enable and disable the effects. So when this is off like that, the effects are not on. When it's on, the effects are on. So yeah, as you see, when I click it on, the effects are on. You can also right click this and it'll open up all the effects that's in the chain. You can right click and it'll hide as well. Let me see if I put only one on. Yeah, there you go. So it shows and hides. This little button here is to record. You could record sounds that is in this track already, like I did for the example with the sound wave, as you saw I recorded. And you could also record your microphone like that. So if I have this on right here, I hit record and I take off the counter and I hit play. Yo, 1, 2 to the 3. No. Oh no, it's not working for me. So yeah, you can see something recorded here. This is actually the keys because this red icon was on. So if I click on this, that's what that is. So I'm gonna delete that. And let me just the OCD there, you know what I'm saying? Take that off. And if I want to record my mic, I'll click here. I'll make sure I have my input. Basically, there's going to be sound coming in here. Anything that's coming in here is going to be recorded. So if I go here like this, record is on. Hey, Justin Omoe rapping here for you. Get a chair or two. I'm sorry, I got off in a little bit, but you can see I recorded there by having this armed to record. That's what that button is. This little time button right here, you don't have to worry about. If you have no idea about it, don't worry about it. It's gonna set some latencies and stuff like that. FL Studio will do that automatically if you have certain plugins that require that latency. Yeah, don't worry about that part. And this last piece right here, you see a green arrow pointing downwards. This is going to be something that you'll probably want to learn about if you want to be serious about making music. This is going to route tracks into other inserts. So notice my microphone is routed. If you see the string, it's connected to the master. That means this insert sound is going into this master sound. That's why you see the sound going up there as well. And this master sound is what we're hearing, what you're hearing right now. Everything is going through this master insert. I know I'm scratching my head. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's itchy. I'm not used to hats, man. I don't like them. But yeah, this master insert is what we're hearing. If I turn this thing off, which is the output speakers, I'll put it to none. Yo. Wait, what? All right, what if I put it to... Yeah, you basically couldn't hear me. I don't know why. I can't set it to none for some reason, but you can't hear me. You could take this routing and route it to another insert. So now you hear me louder. That's because this insert is connected to this as well as connected to the master. And this insert is connected to the master. So you hear me twice. This is good for different type of effects like send effects. So if I were to put a reverb on me, and if I were to take this dry off, now you can hear reverb in this track. Oh, sorry. Burping. But you can hear reverb in this insert here. Yo. Meaning if I take my track off from the master and only in this reverb send track, which I'll name it reverb send, you hear only the reverb sound effect. Notice that I'm talking and you can't hear me clearly, just the reverb. If I put the dry back, you'll hear me, but then that's, adding to that. We don't want that, but yeah. So that's what routing, let me turn that off. That's what routing does for the sounds. So yeah, that's practically it for the mixer, except for the microphone part. If you have set your audio interface right, going into any insert and going to here where it says input, will select the input. So it'll say none for you at first. You click there and then select the right input for your thing. Because I'm using a device like the Clarett 8 Pre, it has like 20 different outputs or inputs. Sorry, I'm using input number 5 inside of my Clarett, which is this mic that you hear me from. Number 3 would be the other mic that's inside of my closet right now. But yeah, don't worry about that. For those who are curious, you may have seen, you see this lock, you're like, what the hell is it? If you hold the shift button and click, it'll lock that. And I have this locked on, so even if I solo something like that, I right click, this will stay on. You could turn it off if you want it to stay off. Like for example, this reverb, we want it off. Right click, you can see it's not turning green. Yeah, same thing with the channel rack as well. If you right click and if you hold shift and click, left click, yeah. Last thing to talk about, actually, well, with the exception of these little quick EQ tools right here, there you go, and the output, don't worry about that one, is the master insert. This master insert is, like I said, going to be the final output. It's what you're hearing in your ears. Everything's going into this master input or output, whatever, insert. You could put an output off from this to, like, let's say if I put this on 1 and 2, which now you hear me louder. If I mute the master, you're still hearing me because this is on output 1 and 2 as well. Let me turn this off. Now you couldn't hear me unless I put the master on. Needless to say though, the master insert will have effects, and the effects will affect everything in the song. So if I put this up, you can hear that I have some mids, but look what happened to the rest of the songs. I'll mute this. Hey, Justin, Mo. So you see how my voice is deep now, and then the bass had a lot of bass in it. Although in the bass there's no effects. That's because we have the effect in the master. And I'll delete that. So everything in the master will affect everything here. That's something you have to use for mastering. By default, you should have a limiter in there. And yeah, if you don't want that limiter in there, you could go to File, New from Template, Minimal, Empty, and then you'll have no limiter in there. But yeah, these effect slots for the master is going to be dealing with something called mastering, which I already made a video on if you're interested in that. But if you're a beginner, don't worry about that for now. Worry about creating stuff. All right, that's basically it right there. But let's go ahead and talk about one more thing, which is something I should have talked about in the beginning. Saving, most importantly. You could save by going to File, Save, and then I'll go into the desktop right here. And right here we'll have the save window. Now it says save as type, which is FLP. I'll go ahead and name this first song, whatever. FLP files is going to be a project, FL Studio project file. It's not going to contain any sounds. So if I minimize this and go to the first song file, let me close that off, right click, and then I go to properties, you can see that this is 121 kilobytes. Cool. It's not going to be a big sound. It's a project file. That means that file does not have any sounds built into it. It doesn't have the kick or the hat sounds or anything like that. It's actually loading the directories where these sounds are. So if you delete a sound from the browser, from inside your folders, it's not going to read. There's another file type which is called File, Save As, and go to .zip. This is going to contain all the sounds from the project. So if I say first song and I write with sounds, I'll just name it with sounds. You see it's saved as .zip. And here it is. If I double click this, you notice that the FLP file is in there. You could extract this folder and then double click that, or you could also click and drag this into FL Studio, which I'll show you. But this, notice it has the WAV files here, and it also has my vocal sound file that I recorded just now. To open up FLP, you just gotta double click. And right there it opened up the file. I know you couldn't see it. The other way to open files, the .zip file, for example, you click and drag here. See where it is? and it opens the project. So if I go to someone else's project or something, let me find a project. So here's the song I had made. It's called All I See Is. You can see it's a zip file. I'll just click and drag it. Alright, you can probably hear me now. Basically now it's loading all the plugins for the project. It's a lot of files, so yeah. Alright, and now you hear me back again. Now look at this. I have, sounds inside of the mixer. There's a lot of them, 49, 47 I guess to be exact. These are the sounds used in the project. All these sounds right here. Here's a playlist, how I made it into a song. I shouldn't have made this red. It's kind of weird, right? What was I going about? Oh yeah, just know that opening the zip file will have all the files in there. I'm guessing some of y'all would want to hear a little bit of it, so I'll hit play.
See us.
You can see it. You can see effects and everything going through the mixer. I'll just go ahead and hit play again, and you can see panning. All this stuff has to do with the mixing and so forth.
See us. I'm at work.
Cool. And the last thing we'll talk about is going to be exporting the song. So yeah. So once we have the song the way we like it, which I'll mute that there. Cool. Go to File, Export, and then as either a WAV file or MP3 file. There's also other files here, but I don't know. MP3 and thing sounds better, WAV. So you would name it whatever. And yeah, there's an option for SoundCloud, which I haven't tapped into. It's a new update piece, but yeah. This export window is going to be where the settings for your final output would be. So we want it as an MP3 file. We could put it as a WAV file as well. This is the bit rate that will be for you. I think at default is 160. Drag it up to 320 if you want the highest for it. WAV file, you could set it to what you want. I like 64 for stereo. The quality, I have it set to 512. You could basically copy everything here that I have set. But once you like what you have here, and make sure it's on full song for the playlist right here, or pattern for just this first insert here, you can see it shows only 2 bars and 7 seconds. So yeah, the full song is actually 34 with 11 measures, 11 bars up to number 11, because I had clipped a little bit there. Yeah. If I hit start, it will start the export. Oh, there's a new option to show the files. That's tight. I'm going to highlight that and see what it does. Wow, just like that, it opens up the folder where the sounds are, where the sound is. So you see it's called First Song with Sounds. So yeah, let's get out of here and I'll go ahead and double click here. If I double click, that's our song. Just like that. You see it even has the mute right there. Next one's gonna have the no hats. That's our song that we just exported. So yeah, hopefully everything that you've heard in this video could help you guys and girls out to create your song the way you want it to sound, as I balanced it here. And yeah, if you do have any questions about anything in the program, first I advise you to go to where it is, like let's say the mixer window, and then hit F1 and it'll open up the help for the mixer, and everything is here you can learn. But if you still have questions, next thing you could do is go on YouTube or go on my channel on YouTube and search how to blank, like how to record vocals, how to this, how to make a song, how to sequence, so forth. There's videos all over YouTube. And if you still have a question, hit the comment section below of this video, write a comment, let me know what you guys and girls think, so forth. Hopefully there'll be a lot of people that can help answer if I can't reach out. And yeah, that's it. That's the tutorial for you guys and girls for FL Studio. I hope that this video series could help you guys and girls out to create songs or create something and, you know, get started on your music career. So yeah, with that being said though, it's your boy Justin Omoe. Be sure to thumbs up and hit subscribe to stick along. And yeah, Peace. I'm out. And have yourselves a damn good one.